how can you play Carnatic music in a pub? These are songs about our gods. Part of it is shlokas that have been written. Agam is derived from a Sanskrit word aham, which means the inner self. Right? And we said this is a reflection of our inner self. It is our reinvention. I don't think Carnatic music in the form that we played in has ever been played before.
Till you went to BITS, you were not playing guitar at all.
I hadn't touched a guitar in my life. If you had asked me, would I be joining HUL, I would have said no.
Why did you play cricket left-handed?
So, Dad was played for Andhra Pradesh state. It's his firm belief that a left-right combination is always looked for by the national team. I think a few years in playing left-handed, he and I both realized that I wasn't doing a great job of batting left-handed. Therefore, that was the end of a cricketing journey.
Especially the younger audience. I'm guessing a lot of people know that there is a Hindustani classical, there is Carnatic classical music, but a lot of them may not really know what exactly that means. So maybe for the uninitiated, a good place to start would be right from you. How do you define both Hindustani and Carnatic music, and what role does that? Obviously, it plays a major role in Agam's music style, but if you had to, for the uninitiated, if you have to say this is what Carnatic music is, how would you define it?
I think firstly, Carnatic and Hindustani music are two sides of the same coin, right? It's just a music style that's endemic to India and developed over thousands of years. There are minor differences in how each style is practiced over the period of time. And of course, Hindustani music has had a really big influence of conquests that India has had over, again, thousands of years of influences from outside of India as well. That's kind of dictated how it's shaped over the years, right? But Carnatic music is, for the uninitiated, it started off as songs for gods way back 5,000 years ago, right, in the south of India. And over the years, it developed into an art form where it was used for devotion, spirituality, and at the same time, communal gatherings, right? Those were the three main reasons why Carnatic music was developed and became popular. As it is with many art forms in India, transferred by knowledge from a guru to a shishya, much less written, much more vocal for many years. Written form of Carnatic music or Hindustani music is just a last 300-year phenomenon, right? Till then it was just by the mind. And therefore the regimentation of Indian classical music, so to speak, is a 300-year-old phenomenon, right? Till then, because it was from a person to another person,
Word of mouth.
right? Word of mouth by itself leads to interpretation that can go wider, right? And therefore, Agam as a band, right, which is what we started, firmly believes in interpretation of art being far wider than the written form of art, right? And therefore, the attempt, right, or now after 15 years, I could say successful attempt, with the lack of humility, of taking Carnatic music and playing it in an alternative format to what it is practiced in the last 200 years. To have elements of progressive rock, metal, jazz, etc., played on top of it, right? Because at the end of the day, we fundamentally believe that Carnatic music, Indian classical music, and Western classical music are also on the same theory, the same basis, and therefore there's no reason they can't be played together. And that's how the band started.
But now, I mean, there was a time when Carnatic music was going down, and now it has started to come up again. Even in Singapore or in US, in Australia, we were talking about it before as well. It has become more popular. Do you see that trend now?
Yeah, Sreejan, I think the definition of an art form going down, with the way you say it, is based on the number of people who are packing, an auditorium, which is one of the definitions or the markers that we may use to say it. The art form has been prevalent, right? But if you take the marker of the attendance for a concert, for a Carnatic music or even Hindustani music, you're fair to say that it's been going down over decades. Yes. And it's been going down more in India than it has outside of India is also true, right? The fundamental truth of Indians who settle outside of India is they are far closer to
Yeah.
art forms and culture and religion than
Yeah.
people in India. Right?
There's a conscious effort as well from people who are outside of India. For people in India, it's like, okay, ghar ki murgi types.
Correct. So it's the westernification of India and the localization of Indians living abroad that have been the two themes that have kind of made that happen. So that is true, right? Concert halls, attendance for concerts, festivals when it comes to classical music, right? Over the last 3 or 4 decades at least has been going down constantly. And one of the reasons for it is, of course, the assimilation of music from across the world that has taken India by storm, right? Take it Indian music or movie music, as well as the influences from outside of India that have come into India with the digital era, with YouTube, with streaming platforms, and so on and so forth, right? That's been one of the key reasons why that's happened. So bands like IIM, our purpose is by playing an alternative format of Carnatic music, right? While that wasn't the intent of starting the band, one of the very positive outcomes of it that we are happy about is when parents come and tell us that their kids' first initiation to Indian classical music is by listening through IIM as a format of music. And therefore, with that, they now start learning Indian classical music again and want to express it in a format that's similar to IIM's. And I think that's one of the ways by which art can move forward, and we are happy to have played a very small journey in parts of the country.
You have discovered a way or invented a way which is now appealing to the younger audience more.
Yes,
is how I
we've
see
constantly received the feedback that the style of Indian classical music that we play is a bit more contemporary in its soundscape and a bit more contemporary in hearing styles.
Yeah.
When going back to Carnatic music, if you had to look at the basics of, let's say, swara, tal, shruti, is there a distinction, or how would you then explain in those terms to a younger audience? Which
Sure. I think Carnatic music is an ocean, so is Hindustani, right? The fundamentals of music is 12 notes, right? And that's true whether it's Western classical, whether it's jazz, whether it's Hindustani, whether it's Carnatic, right? That unifies music across the world, right? And the ocean that Carnatic music is, over 5,000 years, a different combination of these notes were then set as ragas, were set as rags or ragas, were set as paths to follow in terms of listening and singing. Each raga lent itself to a certain type of emotion and therefore was suited for a certain playability or listenability. So there are rags for early morning, there are rags for weddings, there are rags for mourning a sad event, there are rags for a communal gathering, and so on and so forth, right? That hasn't changed. Like the bedrock of that music hasn't changed, and the permutations, combinations of the types of ragas that you can play together, right, is infinite. And with that as a bedrock, when we tried playing jazz, which is also 12 notes, rock, which is also 12 notes, metal, which is also 12 notes, right, it lent itself to a very different soundscape, right? But it felt like when you hear the styles of music separately, it felt like they belong. I don't think people thought that they could be played together in this format. But when they were played together, it sounded unified because of the bass being the same. And when it sounded together, it created, thankfully, a unique sound that people are liking right now, and very happy about that.
the rag, the concept of ragas, and I remember this is an anecdote from maybe 2 decades ago on my birthday. A good friend of mine decided to take me to a Hindustani. Actually, it was a concert where both Zakir Hussain and Amjad Ali Khan were performing together. And as they were performing, in between, they did a Jugalbandi. And when they did the Jugalbandi, it felt like they had been practicing. They have done the 10,000 hours of this together. And then Zakir Hussain said that we are meeting after a few years. We haven't practiced. We just launched into this. And one of the things that Amjad Ali Khan also said was, unlike a lot of the Western rock bands that tend to perform together, in Hindustani and Carnatic music, when they are going to perform an instrument or vocals, they actually look at the time of the day, the weather, the audience, and then they choose what it is that they're going to. How did you bring that into, obviously that along with the Western, because you're not a Western rock band, you're an Indic rock band, but you bring those two ethos together. So how do you find the right balance between the two?
You're right in saying that if you go to a Hindustani or a Carnatic vocal concert, right? It's a bit more individualistic, and the instruments are playing accompaniments, so to speak, and that's different from Western ideologies where a band comes together and each instrument has a role to play, right? We were very clear when we started out that we will orchestrate Carnatic music. And therefore the guitar has a role to play, the bass guitar has a role to play, the drums has a role to play, right? And therefore our songs were the soul of Carnatic music with the orchestration of a Western rock band, right? And that's how those two kind of came together. We're very clear about maintaining the soul of the song or the raga that we're playing and bringing in the elements of progressive metal that comes into it.
So all the instruments which you play in Agam, for example, are they original instruments which used to be played with Carnatic music as well? Or
Never.
Never.
I don't think Carnatic music in the form that we played in has ever been played before. We were, in that sense, pioneers, very happy to have created the genre of Carnatic progressive rock defined in the country.
And it has become a pretty big genre thanks to you guys. I mean, there are a lot of bands, a lot of performers that are doing this, but you guys really were truly the pioneers or the trailblazers in that sense.
It has been a humbling fact, Shobhit, like to now know, like I personally know 15 bands or so who have taken inspiration from Agam and taken the style of music that we've created a notch different, a notch above. Like there are Carnatic metal bands, there are Carnatic jazz bands, there are Hindustani jazz bands right now.
And a lot of that music has now come into mainstream movies, and it is actually becoming the anchor point around which the movie storytelling is happening as well.
Of course, like a huge inspiration in that, or someone who's done it really well, is someone like Amit Trivedi, who really takes different genres and kind of plays them together, but still maintains the melody of the song, right? It's hummable, but there is some jazz stuff happening throughout the song behind, right? But it's still hummable.
Where a lot of series have also come up. I don't know whether you have watched Bandish Bandits.
Of course.
It's also very popular with the young audience as well, young population, and it's actually what you guys started has now started to become a lot more mainstream, and people are in volume enjoying it much more.
I think that's a very happy fact. On Bandish Bandits in particular, right? I just like to say that Shankar Mahadevan has also personally been doing it for a really long time, right? If you've seen what he has publicly come out and speak also, and he's been a huge supporter and a mentor for the band. But one of his core goals through the movie music that he creates is also to influence through it some amount of Carnatic and Hindustani appreciation right from the beginning. Like songs like Mitwa, for example, and he quoting that as an example. So he's been doing it, and we're happy to be doing it in our own way as well.
But when you started Kasyap, and when you guys started all this, was this an initial strategy already, or did it evolve, where you are today in terms of what kind of music you would play? How would you make it more relevant for the young audience? What was the thought behind that when you guys started this?
I mean, I would be wrong to say that the strategy from the very beginning was to contemporarize Carnatic music, right? I don't think any band, or we definitely didn't start by saying that's the goal. Right? That's a positive outcome of it that has kind of dictated our second album, third album, our concert experience right now. So all of that has been kind of a post facto realization that we've built on. But the starting point was just a bunch of people, techies, people who are working post-grad, B-school graduates, right? Who were kind of a bit, what do we do post the Monday to Friday blues of working for a corporate, right? And when we got together as friends who played music in college before, we realized that a majority of us have had training in Carnatic music. It's an art form that we like but haven't practiced as much as we would like to. And college had given us exposure to all of these other genres. So we started playing these two together with an intent to jam to see how it sounds like. Right? We were very clear we didn't want to be a covers band. Like we didn't want to play music that somebody else has created, or we didn't want to play Bollywood music. It just wasn't our cup of tea. Right? It didn't excite us as much. So when we started playing this together, and in small forms, we started playing it at corporate outbounds, we started playing it at birthday parties, we started playing it. The Bangalore pub scene was just opening out to live concerts at that point in time. And we were thankful to have gotten a few slots. Then based on the public reaction of it, we said, okay, this sound might actually stick. It works, and can we now build on it? So it was kind of a product market fit, so to speak, at that point.
But that's a very important point, Kashyap. By the way, we should tell people the reason we are not calling you Aditya but Kashyap is because we have studied together and that's what we called you from 20 years ago. So the name kind of sticks, and so we are not going to change that now. But it's a very important point that you raise. Oftentimes, there is a narrative, not that it's wrong, but that you need to have a vision and then you work towards it. But sometimes it's best to just be in the moment and just enjoy the process without worrying too much about where you will end up being.
100%. But I'm a firm believer of that, right? I mean, for statistically, right, I believe it's impossible for everyone who starts something new to have the vision sorted out up front. It's just statistically impossible. Some people might get it and might crack it. Most of us may not, and that's okay, right? But like in business and like in music, as long as you try a few things and you hit a fit with your target audience and you know it's sticky, you know it works, therefore you can build penetration, you have a high retention because your product is right. Those first principles don't change, right? And with us it was that. We tried a couple of things and we knew that the sound that we created is going to have high retention amongst a specific target group, which is people who have been exposed to Indian music of some form. So when we knew that and we knew that the product is going to be a wow, we then went deeper to expand it.
And how do you come up with all the names? These names which of your all songs are quite, enticing.
I mean, Walk of the Bride, Flight to the Summer Sky, Mist of Capricorn. I remember, actually I was listening to Rebirth of Mystical Avery, and then I realized that I have listened to this song long back. I think you did the song again. How do you come up with the names?
I can give you the example of Walk of the Bride, and it's quite thought through because the song Sita Kalyanam Vaibhogame for at least 400 years is the quintessential wedding song that has been sung in any of the 5 states. And it is state agnostic when it comes to South. You go to Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Simandra, Telangana, it is the song that is sung at the moment of the wedding, right? When we started composing it and trying to make it uniquely our take on it, right? The story that we had before we went into composing it was that we want to make this a bittersweet moment. We wanted to make it a wedding where we know that the bride is then going to transition to another phase of her life, right? She's going to, in that sense, walk from one phase of the other of her life to another. And therefore, how do you bring alive that story through the song, right? So it starts with the song, which is the wedding moment. The second half of the song, which is totally composed by us, right? And not a part of the original song. It's composed uniquely for this song, right? Is about the couple's transition from being individual to collective. Is about the woman's transition from being single to being a wife, and then her life ahead. So therefore, Walk of the Bride kind of became that. And slightly marketing spiel on this, we wanted to name it Walk of the Bride singularly because that section of the song, we wanted it to be used in reels for Walk of the Bride in weddings, right? And since we released it, right? We just now have data to say that in South India, it's the most widely used song for Walk of the Bride in weddings. We just went through a wedding season right now, and it is #1 from Instagram data at least. So a mix of the two.
And do you have some statistics around it? Like, when people talk about Carnatic music, and of course, a lot of us have grown listening to, what Carnatic music is and all about. But is there some way to define the scale of what Carnatic music is, and what you guys do as well? Is it like number of songs or people who listen to it?
It's a good question. I haven't actually thought about the scale of Carnatic music per se. I would expect South India in some sense.
And by the way, Carnatic music in South India was there a particular state where it originated, or was it just?
It's across all states in different forms, and they're called and over the last 300, 400 years, there have been evangelists and icons of Carnatic music in each state that have kind of taken the art ahead. right? Be it Muthuswami Dikshitar, Tyagaraja Bhagavatar, right? Shyama Sastri. So these are just some of the names. Swati Trinal. So these are just names from each state. These are people who've been stalwarts of Carnatic music, so to speak, and closer to contemporary times, MS Subbulakshmi and so on and so forth. People who have taken the music forward. So it's present across all the 5 states, Sreejan. But it'll be very difficult to put a size of the market equivalent for Carnatic music. I think there is a section of the audience or the section of the market that is knowledgeable, aware, into it fully. That section has been becoming smaller and smaller over the decades, right? The people who practice it, the people who treat it as a vocation, people who treat it as a monetary aspect or as a profession, right? That sadly has been coming down. But in terms of aware, audience, it would be pretty much the population. But I would define awareness of if you know even one song. When you move a bit deeper into being a bit more aware of ragas, move it to consideration stage where you would want to listen to Carnatic music per se, my estimate is it will be much smaller than what it is.
And when you now that what Agam is, I mean, of course, it has become very popular. There's a lot of support as well from a lot of people, old and new as well. But when you started off on this journey, you were talking about how there was a lot of opposition to what you guys were intending to do and how you were intending to do. There were purists who would say, how are you, kind of, it's a blasphemy and you should not be doing this. So how did you overcome that opposition and journey and where you are today with, this cohort of people?
And I think, Kashyap, on that, one is the response that you give in an official sense. But the other more important thing is the first time when you heard that, what did you guys feel? And because you have to first internalize this, and I'm sure it would have raised some questions in your mind as well, that are we doing the right thing or are we doing a disservice to the art form?
Yeah. I think this was the Facebook era when information dissemination was easier and anyone could leave a comment, right? So at the top, we got into a lot of fights when we started doing this because the top buckets of comments that people would put in who were dissatisfied with Agam's style of music were, number one, this is not Carnatic music. Like the biggest one to say this is not. You cannot play it with a distortion guitar. You cannot play it with the drums, right? Therefore, you are, in a sense, killing the ethos of Carnatic music is one bucket of fights. The second bucket of fights were, how can you play Carnatic music in a pub, right?
By the way, we are doing this in a pub as well, yeah?
How can you play Carnatic music in a pub? These are songs about our gods. Part of it is shlokas that have been written so many millennia back, right? To play it in a pub is blasphemy. From there, all the way down to buckets of saying, how I can't believe you guys are performing this music wearing a shoe, right? You're wearing a shoe, you're on stage and you're singing about the gods. Clearly, you have broken Carnatic music, like you made it blasphemous, and to the other end of the spectrum of saying you have done a disservice to our gods, right? Those are the kind of fights that came in. The standard response outside, which we firmly believed in, is art will evolve, and it is, and at every point in time in history where people have had issues with art being depicted a certain way, it's only fueled more reasons for art to evolve, right? We were very confident that we are getting a whole new set of people to appreciate this music. We were very confident also that the early adopters of purists, so to speak, were also there amongst us. They used to come to our concerts, they used to tell us that they really love this take, right? Genuinely people who have a broader mindset in their heart and in their minds about how art is, right? And we kept therefore writing back saying, we're going to hold our stance. We're going to continue doing this because, the audience loves it. We love making this music. The tipping point in that sense came when practitioners of the so-called,
the pure form.
pure, right, so-called pure of Carnatic music started reaching out to us to start, making collabs with us. right? So stalwarts like Aruna Sairam, Padma Bhushan, Ranjini Gayatri sisters, Kaushiki Chakraborty, right? We've had the privilege of collaborating with them to create concert experiences, to create new songs, where we played along with them on stage. Pandit Vishwamohan Bhatt in this album, for example, right? That has also helped kind of make people understand that this is art evolving.
Yeah, I mean, if you have support from all these stalwarts and all, and they are coming, attending, not only attending your concerts, but also joining you in some of these gigs, that lends a lot of support and credibility as well.
It was these set of people whose hearts and minds were genuinely ahead of the audience who fought on the purist platform, right? They heard Agam and they said that this is art evolving and we want to be a part of this. And they reached out to us and then of course after that also there was no looking back. Yes. But it was a fun 5 years of that battle on Facebook and Instagram for sure.
And this is how you spread art as well, isn't it? Because, as with younger population, younger generations, they have different tastes. They live in a different kind of lifestyle. Not everyone. 50 years, 100 years back, how life used to be, it's not how life is today. So getting this audience also enjoying this music, art has to evolve in all forms.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it, Sreejan, is when you have youngsters listening to Carnatic music for the first time, the way Agam plays it, and actually going back to their parents and saying they want to learn the art form ground up, right? That's the win. Right, the win may not necessarily be in just them listening to Agam's music as the only form of Carnatic music. But when they go back and say they want to enroll with a teacher, they want to learn from the basics because that's the way to learn, and then they can practice it either Agam style or some other style, doesn't matter.
In your journey, was there a specific moment where you as a group realized that, okay, this is real. We are doing this and we have something on our hands which can be a unique generational opportunity for all of us outside of whatever work we are doing. Was there a moment or was there more of a gradual thing that happened over time?
It happened over time, Shobhit, but 2 to 3 moments in hindsight kind of defined our confidence in how big this can be. Right? The first external, so to speak, validation came from A.R. Rahman judging us in a competition and giving us kind of the winner, whatever thing. And the things that he had to say when he saw us in 2008, 2009 was super validating from a belief where he said that this music can travel. It's unique, it's right, you guys are doing a great job, and therefore that was one. The second kind of external validation was playing in Coke Studio Season 2. Right? Again, MTV took cognizance of the kind of music, made us one of the artists who played in Coke Studio Season 2. That year we won the Video Music Awards for the Best Independent Artist in India that MTV gave us. So those were one rung of external validations. The third moment was a bit more internal, where along with this, the live music scene in India was also gaining momentum. Right? You had a whole bunch of people like us who were graduates, postgraduate, first jobbers in our 20s, right? Wanting to paint the town red on weekends, yes. Right? So that audience and cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kochi, more Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai at that point in time, really started continuously coming back to us to say, come again and play, we'd love to host you another time. So that gave us also a lot of confidence internally. So a bunch of these things started happening together and then there was no looking back.
And I mean, this has been a long journey, isn't it, for you, Kasyap, and rest of the band as well. But I'm sure there would be moments where you guys would have thought, this is not working out, Also, given the schedules, given you are also, and we'll talk about your life in the corporate world as well and rest of the band as well. But I'm sure there would have been moments, so many oppositions, you guys are trying hard, and you would have thought about giving up, but you didn't. So what were those moments and how did you overcome those moments? Because, in younger generation today as well, as they start on their journey, there are moments when they want to give up on certain things, which they are passionate about. So how did you and the band overcome some of those moments?
There were 2 reasons that made continuing Agam and making Agam bigger difficult for us. The first one was about half the band, about 2 founding members who moved to the US, right? And they were founding members of the band. They were working with Amazon in Bangalore, shifted to Amazon in Seattle, and now have been settled
Usually that is the biggest reason why most of the bands break.
Correct. Right? So it is because founding members, people who are really core to our music, kind of moved out of the band. I think that was solved. I was playing temporarily as a plan B with the band, but I stepped in and started playing full time with the band. We got a drummer who is a full time metal drummer to play, and at that point in time, I'm sure the band thought, let's give it 6 months to see if it's actually shaping up, can be composed, right? So that was one kind of decisive moment. The second decisive moment was, honestly, out of the 7 people in the band, 6 of us also have full-time jobs as corporates, right? There have been multiple points in time when we've sat, debated, discussed, fought over how will we create the time, make the time to compose, create new music, create a second album, tour the world, and so on, right? Whose job takes precedence, right? And whose schedule is more important, right? A really important show is coming, but 1 person or 2 people cannot make it because of a corporate presentation or a deadline, right? And they say no, but we really want to take the show. Do we say yes? Do we say no? Those were the kind of, that was the second decisive moment.
So a lot of internal
friction, debates to kind of solidify the ways of working, right? Thankfully, we did that very early on. Right? We did that really early on because quite a few people like myself, we had traveling jobs as well, right? So our Monday to Fridays used to involve travel across the country or across the globe. The weekends used to involve travel for Agam, right? It had a family context as well as to how will they be okay with it, how much time can you devote to family. Thankfully, all of this came together as we solved it early on, in the journey of the band. The people moving out of the band because of work reasons, we solved it because with me coming in and Yadu, the drummer, coming in, like he is a full-time musician, a professional. Therefore, as we started playing music together, we realized that we sounded good, we were fine, and we could compose. So that was the easier solve. The corporate solve in terms of time commitments and demanding, I think early on, we set a rule that says that we're all in or no, right? And therefore,
there's
no half measures, right? All of us agree, we say we are available, and if we're available, we then professionally commit to a show. Otherwise, we don't. We were also at stages in our careers where all of us were in middle management, etc. So we were a bit more mature to know that we had to finish work Monday to Friday, weekend or Saturday was devoted for Agam and so on. Because 4 of us went to college together, right? Our families also knew each other for a really long time. Like my parents know Harish, the lead singer's parents. Like we know Praveen's parents, right? We've spent summer holidays from Pilani together, right? And therefore the family kind of structure came together to say that, we support this, right? We don't want you guys to stop playing. My mom and dad shifted from Chennai to live with me in Bombay when we had our first kid. To take care. They wanted to be with the grandchildren as well, right? And all of these are indebted in hindsight. If these things hadn't come together, there's no way that we would have continued playing music. But the 2 big reasons why this may not have gotten far were people issues as in corporate and priority issues.
I mean, so there's a lot of learning in a band which is similar to what you do in the corporate world as well. But I mean, the way we see it at least is, this is not still a very commercial driven band in the sense, I mean, of course you guys earn money, but as you had said, you reinvest all the money into the band, so you're not taking out money out of it. So it's not a earning thing for you guys. And so in that context, continuing to do it for so long and you still do it, must be the love for music and the passion which you guys have. But also, the friendship thing also kind of defined it, because you had mentioned that 4 of the bands are from BITS Pilani, and you are the one who know all these.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of being on campus with
like Shobhit keeps saying Sutradhar of whatever you are doing, So how does that, because in corporate world also, I mean, Shobhit and we started our company together, but we keep hearing from a lot of people how you should not be working together with friends and family. In your case, especially in the band context, it has worked out very well.
It has. One of the biggest reasons that we've stayed together for so long and continue to create music is friendship that was forged, many decades back, right? Now, what that friendship allows is unfiltered conversations, right? There is never a problem. I mean, disagreement is never a problem, right? I'm sure the two of you, you've started something together, you're great friends. As long as you're okay to disagree, you're okay to debate, then you'll move forward, right? And I think friendship in that sense allows for unfiltered conversation. Many decisions at work, speaking in the corporate sense, right, kind of fall back because there is an ulterior motive, facts aren't put on the table, it's more narrative over truth. And those are the kind of the more fundamental reasons why things don't move forward in corporate circles and why they are kind of crushed down. And friendship kind of solves that by design upfront, right? And therefore, I think it's worked for Agam for sure because of that.
Going back to Agam, the band, you have done a lot of collaborations with the Carnatic music stalwarts as well as more contemporary composers and musicians. Is there any particular collaboration, if you want to name a few, that you really are proud of, that you really, really enjoy?
I think the few seminal ones that we're super proud about was playing with Aruna Sairam. It gave birth to our second studio album. We played with Ranjini Gayatri sisters as well as Kaushiki Chakraborty. That gave birth to our third album. So the genesis of the songs in the third album were us sitting and composing together and for them, for that show. That's been one. And apart from these were some of the artists that we played together that have been seminal in our journey. The support that we've received from people like A.R. Rahman, Dr. A.R. Rahman, Shankar Mahadevan, Salim Sulaiman, who produced one of our songs, right? Pandit Vishwamohan Bhatt have been always in the backbone, right? So the opportunity to have them listen to scratch recordings, for them to build on it, for them to give us guidance, for them to be constant support to the extent that they supported us in our Grammy bid into consideration stage. That's also been another backbone of our journey, Shobhit.
How did you come up with the name Agam? What is the genesis of Agam? And when was the name formalized?
The name was formalized in 2012, right? Slightly before that. We've been a band much before that, but the name formalized and became, how we were known from about 2011, 2012. Agam is derived from a Sanskrit word aham, which means the inner self, right? And when we were thinking of names for the music that we were creating and the band, that was also the time when there were brickbats coming from all over, which we spoke about of, is this Carnatic music and so on. So we just stepped back and said, guys, this is the kind of music we want to create. It is a reflection of our personalities, our musical journeys, right? And therefore we said, can we take aham and agam, right? Agam was it's a South Indian word for the Sanskrit word aham, right? And we said, this is a reflection of our inner self. It is our reinvention, in a sense, of the music that we've grown up with. And therefore the name then was stuck from there.
It's a very good name because it's easy to pronounce as well for a lot of people, not only in India but outside India.
Outside as well, yeah.
One important thing we should discuss, Kasyap, we would love to hear your thoughts on this, especially for the young people. When you're in, late teens, early 20s, everyone has a passion or a hobby. Some people love sports, some people love some kind of art form, music, dance. And at some stage, we are all expected to wean off of that to focus on more serious things. Education, getting a job, etc. All the things have changed now, but still for the younger audience, I think there is always this push and pull or this question between, I love doing this thing, but how do I make a living out of it? And the way you and others in Agam have gone about answering this is quite unique in the sense that, and maybe you should talk about this as well, that you're a unique band because you all have day jobs, you are very successful executives in your own right, and that removes a lot of pressure that typically a lot of other bands might have because they can't even, they can't even book a studio for a long enough period of time, whereas you guys don't have to worry about that. How did that happen? and looks like it's a choice that you guys made over time, and it has paid off very well. And what do you have to say to the younger people who are having to go through that dilemma that this is a passion, how do I go about it? Do I go all in? What does that mean? Is there a way to have these two lives coexist?
With me personally and with Agam, right, it was always an and strategy, right? We knew that we were having a job, and the starting point of that job with is we loved our jobs. Like I loved, like my first day at HUL, I fell in love with that place over the first year that I was trained in HUL, and it's been 17 years for me. Likewise, Harish loved design, right? From there to have created Cred and the UI for Cred, like he's gone. He's been an evangelist for minimalistic design, so to speak, in India, right? So all of us loved what we were doing, and we loved music as well, right? It was far more than a passion for us, and therefore we made this strategy work, if I could put it that way, right? We said we will, create music, we will play live concerts. 90+% of our live concerts will be weekends, and we made that strategy work, right? We were very clear that we have to make this work. And therefore, many things about Agam in making that strategy work are uniquely Agam. There are very few bands that do that kind of, economics and jugglery to kind of make it work well. To kids today who have a certain passion, and this is a pet peeve of mine, where from HUL, every campus I go to, I'm invariably asked a question of saying, how do I make it work? Because there are some people, at least in the audience, thankfully, who've heard Agam in B schools.
I think more and more.
More and more, thankfully, that's one. But that's a question that I get, right? It is my firm belief that anyone can make, a passion like music or art become bigger in their lives and have, so to speak, a day job. I genuinely believe that they can coexist, right? And the starting point of that is, if you were to clinically observe the amount of time that we are spending in a day and the amount of time that we spend in doing things that don't add value to our lives, right? More and more that is just going up, right? We're doom scrolling, we are doom scrolling our lives away. We are Netflixing and binging our lives away. I'm not saying that's bad, but the minute you put things in perspective to say, I want to make a HUL work, and I want to be, and not only work, I want to be good at my job. Like I want to create more impact as I go.
Had the 1/3 of the HUL business in India.
Yes, right. And I've done well in HUL as well to create impact for the company, and at the same time I've done well at Agam. The minute you define these two as things that you want to do, number 3, number 4, how many movies you watch, how much time you spend endlessly scrolling, all of that kind of comes down and it'll work.
I think people have a lot of choices these days, but how do you define what are the choices which you'll prioritize is very important. In fact, Warren Buffett also, he had a famous saying that you have these 30 things to do. Every day, if I ask his people who were working with him would say that, okay, you go and come up with what are the things which you have to do, and they'll come up with these 30 things, and then he'll say, okay, now go and prioritize.
Yeah.
And then they'll spend some time prioritizing, and then he'll say, okay, take the top 2, 3, and that's what you are supposed to do. Rest of the things don't matter at all.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people crib about how they have too many choices, too less time to focus on all these things. But that is not an issue. Time is not an issue. Number of choices is not an issue. Doing multiple things is not an issue. How do you stay focused on a couple of things, prioritize them, and which is what you have demonstrated. By the sounds of it, you make it very easy, but honestly, it's not easy. Not even for people like us, it's easy.
The kids, or so-called kids, or first jobbers, whatever, who ask me this question, right? I think the generation today is super clear on doing things that makes them happy.
Yes.
Right? And they're far more clearer about it than we were. Right? We had very different pushes and pulls when we started working. I think the generation today, kids who join in entry level, who just join HUL, who are in my team, like the young breed, so to speak, they're super clear that they want to do things that make them happy. And the question I ask them is, does endless scrolling, does binging on Netflix, like do these things make you happy, or do you do that because you're just passing time? And they invariably say it's because to pass time.
No one would say that it makes me happy. I don't
Correct.
think
No one
anyone
would say,
be
right?
saying-
And therefore, the question that I asked them after that is, now that you're clear that, say, working in this job and taking an art class is what is going to make you happy, what is stopping you? Just go ahead and do it. Yeah?
One more thing we should talk about is we are going through this major technology innovation curve, which is AI. Few industries are being left untouched by this. The content industry and the music industry is seeing a lot of disruption as well. How do you, one as Agam, how do you view your content getting transformed into something and people start using it, monetizing it? But then if you take also a longer arc or outlook, next 5-10 years, do you have a view on how AI is going to have an impact on the music industry in general?
I think on the music industry, it is going to play a significant role in just the creation of more music, right? I think in the next 5 years, we would have more new music than we've ever had in our history, right? Because AI makes it faster, makes it right, makes it quicker. I have 3 apps on my phone where I record, I just hum a tune and the apps kind of make it into a song, a tune, like kind of embellish it. Right? So it's just going to create more pieces of music for sure, right? I also think that it is going to enable composers with far more variety of choice than what they had before. Like, imagination is what will kind of be the boundary of what kind of music we listen to going ahead, for sure. Therefore, both in terms of quantity and quality of music, it's going to get far more nuanced going ahead with AI coming in on music. I still see the role of composers in the next 5 years at least. I don't know how AI will develop post that. But in the next 5 years at least, like it is with everything else AI, the person with the right thought and the right prompts will kind of generate the best music, in my view. And that's going to be the game changer in the next 5 years.
I mean, even in corporate world, I guess, again, Shobhit and I, we run an AI company and we are looking at enterprises and solving their problems. I think the authenticity part still remains with the human beings, you know, because the original thought, how do you build it out, the creativity, yes, AI would supplement that and help both in corporate world and in the music world as well. But I think there would still be a huge role for, as you said, composers, musicians, and even in the corporate world for people to play.
The next 5 years for sure, Sreejan. I mean, 5 years before we couldn't predict where we would have been right now with AI, right? It's been an exponential leap to say would be an understatement, right? If you had asked us pre-COVID, sitting in 2025 towards the end of the year, will we be having a conversation where such things would be possible? I think I would have definitely said, I'll have what you're having, right? So for sure. So I don't know, 5 years from now, maybe, I'm sure you guys, people like you will unlock even more possibilities in this space.
So Kasyap, you also, given that, so if you were to flip this, so instead of music, let's say we think about ad copies, because you've been a marketer, you run multiple brands in your portfolio with Unilever in India. What we are seeing is that even when you have to scale creatives, because now you need creatives with different form factors, different formats, different platforms, AI does a pretty good job of scaling creatives. But if you were to have AI do what a Piyush Pandey would do, for example, we don't think it can still quite do that. And that's where I think it seems like there is still going to be enough and more room for human ingenuity and creativity, even in advertising, for example, because we're seeing that AI can do certain things well, but when it comes to original thinking, pure creation, it's still not quite there.
Possibly, Shobhit. I think the AI is definitely doing a phenomenal job of what you can call the low-hanging fruits, right? So form factor of the same creative, multiple media platforms, yes. The next phase that I am seeing it add a lot of value to the brands that I work with or I'm in the service of is the generation today or consumers today, right, want something that is authentic, that is not brand speak, that speaks to them and is in that sense a bit more customized. And I think AI is making huge strides in customization at scale, right? Not mass, but even messaging, right? While surf can have one campaign, which is Daag Ache Hain, what it means to you as an athlete might be different to what it means to me as a musician, right? I think AI is making great strides and is being an immensely valuable partner to create creatives at scale that speak Daag Ache Hain to you in the way that it makes sense to you, and to me in a way that makes sense to me. That frontier also is getting, AI is becoming far
Very
more and more
hyper-personalized.
hyper personalized. So getting into psychographics of who we are as individuals and making a brand messaging relevant to us. Influencer marketing is now being run by AI. Performance marketing is being run by AI. So all of that definitely. Can AI be a Piyush Pandey? I don't know. 5 years from now, let's see.
Maybe.
Maybe we didn't know AI could do this 5 years back. So
One question that has come up is a lot of young people think they're good singers or musicians. They have a lot of potential. Is there a way for them to actually put that to test if they're willing to put some investment to try something out? Can they record some music, put it out there? Do you have any recommendations?
the world is their oyster right now. When Agam started playing music, right, we had to take CDs and go pub to pub to kind of make them listen and
to
get a
it
live
and then-
show, right? And that was the time when we couldn't afford artist management as well.
And there was not so much of distribution.
Correct. So I took CDs to a Hard Rock Cafe in Mumbai. Somebody else from the band did it in Bangalore and so on, right? I don't think that is the case at all now. I think Reels on Instagram has kind of found more Bollywood singers and South Indian movie singers in the last 5-6 years than ever before, right? And there are legit singers who've won awards singing for Tamil movies, for example, who were found on Instagram. Like Anirudh Ravichandran found 3 singers who just posted covers of songs on Instagram, and they had a following and they sounded really well. So I think the opportunities right now are just so much higher. There are label management agencies that operate on zero commission basis, where you can upload your music and into Spotify and help popularize it with a marketing plan at super low cost, right? So the options are definitely there.
I think we have to talk about what makes Aditya Kasyap Aditya Kasyap. I think there's always the origin story. You were born in a middle class family, and I think you mentioned to us when we were discussing about this before, the thing that kept coming up in our discussions when you talked about your childhood was your parents telling you never to sit idle, never to remain idle, keep doing something. And how has that shaped you as a person and what you have become today?
It is the core of who I am, Shobhit. If I'm sitting, I remember crucible moments growing up. If I'm sitting at home doing nothing, like I'm on the sofa at home or a chair at home for 5 minutes doing nothing, either my mom or dad would come and say, "What are you doing?" I would say, "Nothing." I said, "That is not a thing, right? Nothing is not a thing. Grab a book, write a speech, right? What is upcoming in school?" I said, "This competition." Like, okay, so write a speech and show it to me in half an hour. Let me edit it, would something my dad would say. My mom would say, read a book. Or my mom, who was so instrumental in 4:30 a.m. singing classes, would just say, my aunt and uncle who lived above us, right? So the 3 people in my life who were instrumental in my music journey. If I'm sitting alone and doing nothing, they'll say, you sit, they'll switch on some harmonium and they'll say, just sing. Right? And my mom would be cooking, or my aunt would be cooking, and she will hear me singing and she'll say, stop, ye note galat hai, start again. So sitting, doing nothing was not an option at home. Like just whiling away time was blasphemy. And it is super core to who I am today with HUL, with Agam, with juggling 2 kids, their exams.
So do you force it upon your kids as well, that they can't sit idle?
As much as I can.
Yes. But do you find it more challenging these days?
Yeah, I think we have to first of all thank the venue here. So we are at BL Library in Koramangala. It's one of the most amazing places, and it is really a place where a lot of young people hang out regularly, and We have managed to come here in the morning, but we are pretty sure in the next half an hour or so this place is going to be buzzing. So thanks a lot to the beer library and a lot of fancy food. But sorry to interrupt you.
So you growing up, Kashyap, you had to go through all this, and I'm sure at that time you didn't appreciate how this will mold your life and how it will help you become what you have become today. And I'm sure your kids today, our kids today as well, when we force something upon them as well, they don't realize. I mean, they don't like it. They don't want to do it. So how do you achieve that balance? Because you also want to, at the one end, want to give them all the comforts in life which you may not have gotten when you were growing up. But also you want to have them live through the same disciplined life as you went through, because that is what shaped you. How do you achieve that balance?
With me growing up, because my parents were focused on no idle time, they pushed me into 12 things, 15 things, right? And that in some ways resulted to me being who I am today. With my kids, I am super happy if they pick up one thing, right? I'm sure that resonates a bit with you guys. One thing, like if it's with Shreyas, my second born, he's 7 now, 6 days a week he's playing football. Okay. He's either playing for the school team practice or he's playing for a league practice near home, right? So I hold on to one thing, right? And I ensure that one thing, at least there is some interest and that interest doesn't wane. And if I've done that, right, I think I would have succeeded as a parent in that point, because I think we want, like you said, Sreejan, I want to give my kids the comfort that I desired when I was when we were children. With that comes a certain scare of sense of entitlement. I think there is also a real fear of the next generation because of how they are growing up, right? With the level of comfort that they're growing up, at least in households like ours and mine for sure, it is okay to try 5 things and not be serious about any of them, right? I think the challenge that I'm going through is try 5 things, be okay with failing 5 things, right? Don't be okay with trying 5 things just because you can try something else later. And therefore, trying to say, ek cheez to karo, dang se when you are young, might hopefully be a crucible moment as for him when he's sitting 20 years later.
So as parents also, I think we are learning as well. We are transforming as well. What our parents were doing with us is not what we can do with our kids. As you said, our parents were okay for us to try out as many things and they would force us to do that. But today, probably, given the number of choices and what people are going through, focusing on certain things helps, for them to grow as well.
Why did you play cricket left-handed?
Yeah.
So, Dad was played for Andhra Pradesh State growing up, played Ranji, Junior State, a huge cricket buff, fan, whatever you call it. While when I was 3 or 4 growing up, I'm a right-handed person by everything, a right-handed person, but he forced me to start playing cricket as a left-handed batsman. It's his firm belief that a left-right combination is always looked for by the national team.
And they're not
right? So he was thinking that. He said there's not enough of that. Therefore, starting as a right-hander is going to be difficult for Kasyap. Therefore, let's make him a left-handed batsman. It's the only thing I do left-handed, right? But I think a few years in playing left-handed, he and I both realized that I wasn't doing a great job of batting left-handed. Therefore, that was the end of a cricketing journey, so to speak.
And then you ended up at BITS Pilani, which obviously has played a pivotal role, not just in your career progression and your success you've had at Unilever, but also at Agam. Yeah. How was that experience at BIT? What made BITS really stand out as an institution for you guys? And actually now, even in our batch, there are few of BITS, your batchmates who've done extremely well, like Sham Unni and Vasuta. So what was it about BITS and that experience that shaped what happened later?
I mean, doing my engineering in BITS Pilani was, I would say, single-handedly the big shift in what resulted in Agam today. I learnt music as a vocalist, as a Carnatic singer, so to speak, as kids do in South India growing up. I never touched the guitar.
Oh, so till you went to BITS, you were not playing guitar.
I haven't touched a guitar. I hadn't touched a guitar in my life till 12th. I went into BITS Pilani. The very first year I was living in the same hostel, first year ides and third year students were in the same hostel. And there was a guitarist in the third year who spent all of his time outside the hostel room playing the guitar. Yeah. I walked up to him and asked him if he could teach me. And after ragging me quite a bit, he was nice enough to say, now that I've ragged you, I'm your friend, I shall teach you. And from then there was no looking back, right? But Shobhit, the other facets of what the BITS Pilani experience gave me in, in the music career that I have today is, Pilani is a godforsaken place. Yeah. There is nothing outside that campus, right? You go to that campus to be in that campus, yes. Right? To step out of that campus would be to go home, right? Otherwise, you never would do that. Yeah. Therefore, over the 50, 60 years that campus had been in existence by the time I went there, a great ecosystem had developed for entertainment within campus. Like everything was in campus. Like you want to watch a movie, it's in campus. You want to go to a live concert, it's in campus, right? Therefore, every semester, out of the 8 semesters that we did our course in, the music club of BITS Pilani would do what's called a music night. Yeah. It would do 2 such nights every semester where the entire campus used to come to the auditorium, seats would be pushed back. It would be like the disc of that time. And you have a band from the music club, or you have the music club playing 50, 60 songs per night on stage. Yeah. Start at 7 in the night, end at about 11 in the night, which is when the curfew was. So 7 to 11, 4 hours, 60 songs per music night, 2 such nights every semester. I did that for 4 years, yeah. Right? And that gave me the opportunity to play 500, 600 songs on stage across Hindi songs, Western, Tamil, Telugu songs, right? Because you just play songs that you want people to listen to, right? And it's a kind of a bohemian crowd. People are there from across the country. And you would want to play in one night of 50 songs, you would want to play songs that everyone knows. Yes. So new songs released, new albums released. I remember Creed had just become big. Linkin Park had just become big. Those were standard songs that we would
And
play.
In India as well, it had started to become very famous and popular, all these different bands.
Right, so that was crucible. Imagine finishing an engineering degree and walking out of college, having played 500, 600 songs on stage as a guitarist, as a bassist, as a drummer, right? Which is what 3 instruments I learned in my 4 years. I played all of that on campus. It was invaluable kind of practice, so to speak, for what would become.
And people talk about, how if you have to become an expert, you have to spend 10,000 hours doing that day in and day out.
Pilani was my 10th.
And by the time you graduated from BITS Pilani, you had already completed those 10,000 hours of music.
For everyone in Agam, Sreejan, not just me, like the guitarist TPK, T. Praveen Kumar, right? He went into Pilani as a keyboardist, picked up the guitar in Pilani, had his 10,000 hours there, right? Harish, the singer, like fully classically trained till school, came in there, started singing movie songs, expanded his repertoire, and then went out with his 10,000 hours, right? So that was what Pilani did.
And even at Pilani, I think Kasyap, you have mentioned that, you were doing all this, which was already quite a full-time work. And then on the study side as well, you were focused on certain things which you liked. Yeah. And those were the subjects where you did very well. Yeah. So all through your life, there is a pattern, where you kind of decide, you try out a lot of things, but then you quickly decide what is it that you want to focus on. And then you kind of shut down or shut off all the noise around it and then just focus on things which matter to you.
Yeah, fairly put, Sreejan. I mean, this is of course, Sreejan, in hindsight,
yes,
that you're saying this and I'm also solidifying this. But if I were to think of that same pattern, yes, in Pilani, it was literally 2 things. It was playing the guitar on stage, the 10,000 hours equivalent, and it was electronics for me. Right, I did electronics and instrumentation along with a lot of our batchmates like Vasta, etc. And there were people like her who did like a 10x better job, rightfully so. That's her brilliance, right? Where she had her set of 3 things that she really cracked on a stage. For me, it was these 2. Like the electronics courses, I was 9+ CGPA. The rest of it was down in the dumps, just about enough to pass, getting by doing things. And many times during the course of those 4 years, it troubled me. saying, will it lead to a great future? Will it lead to a solid, stable future? But that's in hindsight, yes.
But the future also turned out to be very good. So after BITS Pilani and what you did in BITS Pilani helped you get your first job, and then also leading to the other jobs, corporate jobs which you did.
Yeah, and the pattern holds and the pattern holds like in HUL in 17 years. I'm one of the few people who's punted for longer stints in a particular place, right? The standard movement or career path that people take is 2 years in one role and then move to another one. Like when they get into marketing, for example, it's 2 years of one brand, 2 years another brand. I did 4.5 years of hair care. I just stuck, right? It's been my 7th year now in home care in HUL, right? Just punted for longer stints to build depth of expertise in what I like.
And I think at this point, we will talk about IIM Bangalore, which is where we all met and spent time together. But I think it's also important now to highlight that you have taken a career path which is unconventional in the sense that, I mean, it's very conventional for the older generation, our parents, because they would stick to, I think you mentioned your mom was 40 plus years, a few decades with Ashok Leyland, and she started her career there and she was there pretty much throughout. That's true for, I think, our parents as well. My father has been the doctor in the same hospital for 50 plus years and he still continues to be. So for them it was the norm. For us it was unconventional for someone to spend a decade and a half, 17 years as you have at one company. But the way to look at it in hindsight, and this is more for the younger generation and people who are even thinking about MBA versus not, or people who are at B schools like the IIMs, is that what you have gained by being in one place for 17 years is that you're probably managing a larger portfolio of business than probably anyone in our batch. Maybe I'm missing someone, but you'd definitely be in the top 1 or 2 percentile of people that are just the book of business and the sheer scale of business that you're managing is because you chose to make that decision. You were pressured enough to say that I'm going to stay here. I don't know if you had that plan or if it turned out that way, but in hindsight, it has been an amazing decision that you've stayed here for as long as you have, right?
I think, like you said, Shobhit, one of the reasons for it is how I was brought up, right? You have someone like Amma who's joined as a stenographer, like someone's secretary, and doing her college in parallel, right? Because that was her condition economically as a family. So she joined Ashok Leyland when she was 16, right? And she retired when she was 56 to come and stay with me when I had my daughter, right? When you grow up with stability like that, a part of you is wired to think that stability is good, right? At the same time, my 17 years, okay, why do people shift? They shift because they want to reinvent themselves, right? They shift because their current opportunity doesn't allow them, where they are today doesn't give them the opportunity to kind of reinvent, and they believe that they are slightly want a different path, etc., right? The 17 years in HUL for me, the firm's given me opportunities to reinvent myself consistently, right? Starting from sales to what I've done, across the board, between different roles, different brands, different categories, it's constantly given me the opportunity to learn a new skill, reinvent myself, look at a different consumer set and so on and so forth. And possibly that was true for Amma as well, right? From starting with the secretary of a manager to retiring from Ashok Leyland as the head of service, right? She would have also had to reinvent herself, right? So I think the trick in what you're saying is, while for me it has been DNA coded because of how I've grown up and how HUL has given me opportunities, I think the opportunity to reinvent for the younger generation becomes imperative for us as leaders, right? In the roles that they do, right? Because we know that attention spans are shorter, ambition is much bigger than what it was before. And I'm sure that's the same case for your father as well, right? He's not there in that hospital for 50 years because he wants to do the same thing. He's there because apart from the fact that he loves what he's doing, he's constantly faced with something that makes him reinvent himself 50 years in the same place, right? And it's imperative for us as business leaders possibly to try doing that faster than what our leaders did to us, is possibly the learning I have there.
Yeah, but I mean, you also had a lot of missed opportunities, so to speak, because you had talked about how, BITS Pilani was probably the only option for you growing up. You had this responsibility of making sure that you are able to bring money back home. You had 2 younger siblings who you had to take care of. And then after BITS Pilani as well, you may have wanted to go and do masters, but you chose to take a job because that is what you thought was a responsible person doing it. And then also, in your current role in HUL, I'm sure there would have been a lot of missed opportunities as well. But what you are saying and the way your life has turned out to be, that wherever you are, you can reinvent yourself in a way that you can find new opportunities as well and do very well and be excited about it day in and day out.
Nobody who has been successful, right, has reached there by not missing opportunities. That's one. I firmly believe that we are who we are, not because of worrying about the opportunities that we missed, but because of making the most of opportunities that we get, right? And in that lies success firmly, right? So it was a mandate, so to speak, that I put on myself after Pilani to not study further but to work, because that's the economic situation at that point in time. Likewise, be it Pilani, work after that, or IIM Bangalore, all of it was loan sponsored, and therefore there was a lot of money matters, so to speak, that was on top of mind, right, to ensure that I finished the Pilani loan quickly, help in my little way to ensure that home is taken care of. Brother, sister was 6 years younger than me, just about entering college, right? And when they did was when IIM Bangalore opportunity came. While you rightfully said that, I would have thought at that point in time, MS, MBA, etc. The MBA opportunity came my way, and I'd like to believe that all of us have done way better with it than worrying about what would have happened back then.
How was the experience at IIM Bangalore? And there has been a debate about young people have been having around whether you should do an MBA or not. What is the advice that you give to them?
And you met your wife there as well. So
Biggest
I think
find probably at IIM Bangalore.
for you, it has been transformational in so many ways. Right? So if for nothing else, you should advise young people to go and
better half there.
Like engineering was transformational for music. B School at IIMB was transformational for meeting Maya, and we just celebrated our 15th year wedding anniversary this year, right? So MBA, Shobhit, for me was 2 or 3 seminal pegs. The first and the most important is meeting fine people who I'm in touch with, who I'm very, very happy and proud to call my friends, people like you. It has been, and likewise, the two of you met each other at IIMB and you started something on your own. Like the single biggest positive outcome has been meeting amazingly talented people, right, who, have made their mark, continue to make their mark, and can shape, either business or public policy or a generation of the next leaders, right? And we have examples of all of that amongst the people that we went to B School with, right? Be it public policy, be it reshaping AI, or even people from our friend set who studied together with, who are teachers right now, right? Who are professors right now, shaping a new generation of learning.
officers, people have done, influencers as well. So we have,
Correct. So I think the single biggest positive outcome of doing an MBA, and why I would urge youngsters to continue doing it, apart from limited skills that you learn, right, is the people that you meet and how together you're able to create value. That's one. The second thing that B School gave me personally was of course Maya, right, and meeting her, getting married, post that, having 2 wonderful children with her. She's also in Unilever right now, so we're colleagues as well, parents together, right? Has been amazing experience. I don't think I would have been as, I know for sure that I wouldn't have been as successful in HUL as well as Agam had it not been for Maya and her close involvement in seeing this success materialize way ahead of its time, right? So I wouldn't even call it support, I would call it co-visionary or visionary. When I felt that it shouldn't happen, when I felt I shouldn't be taking a show to travel because of something at work or something at home, she would say, I'll go, like don't, right? That's the second.
Help
so,
you out,
right, not even helping out, right? So it's just being seminally there to, help is absolutely the wrong word. She drove it, I would say. So that's the second biggest. I think the third biggest takeaway from IIM Bangalore was time management, right? Because in Pilani, I just wasn't exposed to time management, right? Younger, oh, music chal raha hai, electronics chal raha hai. You just like, you're too young, and the concept of prioritizing and time management doesn't occur to you to that extent that a B school teaches you. And I would urge young people to seriously think, why not MBA or why MBA, based on number one and number three for sure, right? Which is meeting great people who have with whom you have the opportunity to create value, and time management for sure. And time management is a skill, trust me, young people definitely need to get. We're getting better at it. They should get better at it as well.
More so today.
More so today with the amount of distractions. Not their fault. I'm not faulting the generation.
No,
I'm
it's
just
how life is today.
how life
So
is.
you can't-
Right? I think on number two, I think young people have way more avenues to find their soulmates than
You
I
would be
did. So
surprised- you would
maybe
be
that's not the reason to do an MBA.
No, you would be surprised, because these days what has happened is people are so inward, because whatever is available to you, you watch whatever you want to watch on your own. You have all these food deliveries where you can just order food and eat at home. These days work from home is also
Yeah.
a very prevalent thing. So, getting opportunities to meet people and have that real interaction is so limited. So I think it's definitely an avenue. But so IIMB happened when you went to IIMB. I think you wanted to be a consultant. You have talked about how you thought about being consultant. You prepared towards being a consultant. You went for placements thinking that this is what you will crack, but that didn't happen.
It didn't at all. Yeah, you come in. I mean, in your first year, you kind of have,
Everyone has a plan.
you have a plan, right? You have a plan. That plan for me was consulting. Yeah, like after my summers, the second year was all about consulting. I was also, like the people, like, let's take Ramsey's course, let's do the strat, let's do this.
Let's do all those case studies, form the groups.
I prepped my ass off, right? And I had quite a few shortlists, none of which I converted, right? Not sure if the audience knows, but our batch, of course, was the infamous 2009 Lehman Brothers bust batch, right? And
People had PPOs and they were taken away.
Correct.
People
People
threw
threw
parties.
PPO parties, and then they realized their offer is not there anymore. Yes.
correct. So a very, very tumultuous time, so to speak, in hindsight for sure. But when we went through it, it was mind-numbingly tough, right? To have gone through.
People were depressed. Remember how people were talking about how we'll not end up with any job, nothing to do.
Yeah, so it was a tough year to graduate. So I didn't get through consulting and I got through HUL, right? Hand on heart, if you had asked me when I gotten into B school or even at the end of first year, would I be joining HUL? I would have said no, because it wasn't in my consideration set. When I got in and I called home and I told my dad and mom that I got HUL, unequivocally, right? They said, super, be happy, join. It's a great space. It's an amazing company. It's known to have produced really, really good leaders. It's ethically on the right space, and the quality of products, marketing, extra that they do. Given that my dad was from an advertising background, he had huge respect for Unilever and for HUL. And therefore, he said, I am going to shout at you. I'm going to come to Bangalore if you're going to reject this offer. Take it. So there was some confidence saying, okay, let's do it. And since then, I haven't looked back. Sure.
So we have to go through the rapid fire, etc. And we have 15 minutes. Before we get into that, looking ahead, looking to the future, both at Unilever, you're managing a very large book of business, and I'm sure that business is also going through its own set of exciting opportunities and challenges, as well as with Agam. What is it that you're looking forward to on both sides?
I think I'm proud of the work that I've done, but I'm as well privileged, right, to be handling a business of the size that I'm doing at the age that I'm in, right?
And if you can, what is the size of the business you're talking about?
I can speak public information, of course. So the home care business in HUL is about 24,000 crores, right? So about 2.5 billion euros. I handle the P&L of a significant part of it, which is fabric care. Right?
And India is the second biggest market for HUL.
India is the second biggest market for Unilever globally. Yes, the fabric care business of India is Unilever's biggest fabric care business globally, right? In terms of business into country combinations, what I handle is the biggest for Fernandez, who's the CEO, right? So if you were to put a simple Excel sheet to say who to pay in first, right? Based on size of business into country, that would be me, right?
That is amazing.
Right. So it is a privilege. It's a huge responsibility as well, and one that I don't take lightly, right? So the next in that, of course, is, and you guys have just started a firm, right? And you're doing great, and you know that transformation, right, and takes time, right? And if I am on a mission to transform the way India does its laundry or its fabric care to solutions that are cleaner, quicker, better, that's not going to happen overnight, right? And therefore, there is a huge opportunity exists in this business in this country, given its per capita levels of consumption, given its per capita income, and given a wide but significant amount of population at the top that is equal to France in size and in per capita income and consumption, right? So there is a golden opportunity to take a biggest business and prove that elephants can dance, right? And do it faster, do it quicker, and transform the business. And that's something that I'm really excited about. On the Agam front, I mean, we got a Grammy consideration this year with the help and support of a lot of our audiences, as well as support from the industry. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Now that Chakliya ki Grammy consideration ho sakta hai, right? How do you kind of ensure that we have another album that comes punching above its weight on a global stage, right? To reinvent classical music of India, to make it appeal to a global audience, is another opportunity that's waiting to be taken by this band, right? And therefore, their sky's the limit. We're really aiming for being in the top 5 and, possibly in the next few years, making a bid for winning a Grammy in either global music or contemporary classical music, so to speak. So those are the two fronts. Have a huge challenge, as is with you fine folks, in bringing up 2 children as well in today's day and age, with Netra, who's 12, and Shreyas, who's 7. So that's a third challenge.
Yes, and all the best for all 3. Have you ever played, has Agam ever played for any of the HUL, workshops or?
Yes, of course. Yes, Agam has played in about 2 shows over the last 10 years, right? Which has been HUL conferences, so to speak. Yes.
And does that 2 lives? I wouldn't say 2 lives. It's 1 life, but you do 2 things. Does that help you to better connect with people in your team? Because now you're heading a $2.5 billion business. You would have a lot of people reporting to you. Has that made you more approachable to them as well?
I think I am very, very. I'm always pleasantly surprised when new joinees in HUL who are not in my team or otherwise, recognize and walk up. And there's some of them, not all of them. I wouldn't say that everyone knows, not that big yet, but some of them come up and say, "Are you from Agam? We've listened to the music. It's on our playlist," and that's always very, very heartening, right? For sure. I think Agam plays a significant role in work in more ways than one. Sreejan. It has been 13 years. My default mode is not to work on weekends. Just can't afford to, right? I'm here on a Sunday with you guys. I had a show in Bangalore yesterday, and I'm flying from here to Delhi for work tomorrow, right? So it clarifies in my mind what a Monday to Friday should be, right? And because I don't work on most weekends, my team doesn't feel the need to work on most weekends. It liberates their time as well and focuses their attention on the work weeks. That's one. Music for ads is something I get very passionately involved in. Background scores, background music. Who composes it? How does it sound? Does it go with the emotion of the brand? Are the highs at the right place? Are the lows at the right place? Is the penny drop moment rightfully scored? So I'm a slightly anal on that, and the team hates me for it. But that's the other thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We have time for rapid fire now.
Yeah.
You wanna go? You wanna go?
We can. So, okay, Kasyap.
Yes,
Yeah, you have to go fast as well. Don't think too much, okay? Morning person or night owl?
Morning person now. 40 plus.
All of us have become
Become a morning person.
introvert or extrovert.
What's that word? Outrovert.
Okay.
Right? I think I'm as I've grown older, I've become extroverted with a set of people that I really want to get extroverted with, and I want to just cut the conversation in a minute and walk the hell away.
Okay. If a movie is made on Kasyap, Aditya Kasyap, who would you want to play Aditya
Oh,
Kasyap?
that's the easiest answer. It is the movie of my life, the one that I love the most, Rock On, Farhan Akhtar. It's already there. Right? His name is Aditya in the film. He's a corporate worker who wants to start a band, right? And one of the big inspirations.
But you have done, actually, I thought about bringing up that, but I thought you guys have done much better than Rock On, because Rock On, the band broke and then they decided to come back.
So
And it was
not all of those parts,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yes.
But you
if
guys
there is one-
continue to do that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if there is one, why not?
Okay, so
Farhan
Farhan Akhtar, yeah? Okay. You want to ask?
Favorite band of all time?
Akhtar? Ooh, tough one. Can I name top 5?
Yes.
Okay, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, Mark Knopfler as a guitarist, and therefore Dire Straits, A.R. Rahman, Ilayaraja.
One Gen Z habit at work that you secretly love.
The drive on things they love, right? If you can get the Gen Z crowd to be interested in what you're doing, what they can do is better than what I can do.
And one habit which you hate.
Getting them interested, right, is the biggest challenge, right? Because they are binary, right? And it also makes it easier to I mean, you don't need to ask them to get a report card, right? I know if quite a few people from my team over a course of 1 or 2 weeks are more working from home than coming to office, are applied for, I mean, are going more on leaves and coming, I know that I'm doing something wrong, right? Either I've moved into a phase that is a bit intense for them in terms of what they don't like to do in that space. Like that is also very, very clear.
So you have had many mentors in your life as well. Who would be your top, let's say, 2 mentors?
I think the first one is from home, of course. I've had a really, really good mentor in my dad, right, for having pushed me into doing all of these different things. The second mentor would be at work. So Srinandan Sundaram, who's now the head of home care for HUL, and now is going to be the CEO of Unilever International based out of Singapore, right? He's been my line manager and boss for the most time in HUL. A lot of my leadership, business thinking, handling teams has been shaped by him.
Okay.
Greatest guitarist, you said Mark Knopfler. Is that the greatest guitarist of all time for you?
For me, yeah. No, but I mean, I would give an arm and a leg to be 1% of how he plays the guitar for sure.
Okay, what is your favorite drink? Coffee, tea, matcha?
Filter coffee. Born and brought up in filter coffee, would still survive on filter coffees during the day.
Favorite go-to comfort food?
Oh, 2 or 3. Love curd rice because of how I was born. Love, have gotten a really good liking to aglio olio pasta. It's just simple, healthy. Can have that at any point in time. Between these two, curd rice and aglio olio.
Now we go through some recommendations for music, whatever comes to mind. Music for deep work.
Music for deep work, instrumental jazz in the background, or Western classical.
Heavy workout?
Heavy metal.
Solo walk to clear your head.
Okay, so on walks, Mark Knopfler, Eric Clapton and their guitar pieces. Because of Netra, I have started listening a lot to Dua Lipa, Charlie Puth. Yeah, so Dua Lipa, Charlie Puth, Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande. So not as Swiftie yet, much to her unhappiness.
For confidence? What music?
Music?
Yeah.
I think any Tamil music that I love, right? Listening to Rahman 90s and Ilayaraja 90s and 80s, right? Always kind of brings in a side saying, I can do this.
So when should people listen to Agam? When should people listen
Anytime
to
and
Agam?
every time.
All the
All
time.
of
Agam
this.
should listen. People should listen to Agam all the time.
Party music?
So all of Netra's music. Those are the kind of parties I go to anyway right now. So her playlist.
Okay, what for Maya, which of your songs or music is she likes the most?
Maya, you're saying?
Yeah.
I think there is one
Is there
song.
a favorite one?
Yeah, there's one song from each album that she says is still is her go-to, so to speak. In the first album, it's Boat Song. She loves that. In the second album, it's Mist of Capricorn. She loves that. There's always a tussle between that and Rangapura Vihara, but she likes Mist of Capricorn. And in the third album, it's Walk of the Bride for her. These 3 songs are on her.
When she is upset with you, what music do you play for her?
Try to stay silence is the game, boys. We've been married for way too long to try speaking when the other person's upset.
Okay. I think that's it. What advice would you give to the young people, to the Gen Zs today? You have to just tell them one thing.
Young people today have more avenues to learn, more avenues to get distracted by, right? So my advice to them would be to pick one or two things and go in depth of it. To pick one thing that you like, but ensure that you're the best at it, right? I think the challenge with today's generation that that I continuously see both at work and at home is, while they have the ability to process multiple things, the drive to go deep in one or two that interests them the most is something that needs to be built, right? And that's probably my single piece of advice.
Got it. Okay. The last part we have is the Gen Z slang.
I think
So
there are
Gen
two
Zs
things. One is we have to ask him 2 recommendations.
Oh yeah.
But maybe we can ask you some Gen Z slangs. I mean, we'll be really surprised if you know all of it. Okay, Delulu.
Delusional, cranky.
Oh wow, Slay.
Oh, you killed this. You got this. Like this interview, you guys are saying this.
You are slaying here as well, and you're slaying with your music as well. No cap.
Serious. Like this interview is serious, no cap.
He might.
What are you doing?
He might actually get all of them right.
Netra is 12.
This come?
I went through a phase of at least some of these words trying to speak to her and irritate her.
Okay. Vibe.
Vibe. Like, is it? I love the personality, right?
The mood, the
Yeah.
feel
So
of
your
it.
vibe, like, but it's also about you. Like, show with your vibe today, slay.
Yeah. Okay. Akshay Khanna in this recent movie has been doing a lot of this. You know, it's called aura farming.
I have no idea what that means, and I haven't seen the movie, guys. It's one of the downsides to the.
This is one clip which has been playing across all the social media where he's dancing and moving around.
Clearly.
It's the energy, the cool energy around him. Yeah, so. NPC.
Sorry.
NPC.
No
Have you
clue.
played video games ever? Okay, it's like someone who is background, non-playing character. It comes from, actually I still don't know why it is Gen Z, but yeah, it is. Brat.
Brat. Someone who is not well behaved or naughty. Shameless. Okay, naughty, shameless.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
You know, this was amazing. One last question, Kashyap, and we may not put it on video is, you know, everyone we do this with, we ask them for 2